Hi, it's Anika from Living for Later, and I'm here today to talk to you about just picking up your cross. Let's just jump right into Matthew 16, verses 24 through 26. And it says, "Then Jesus said to his disciples, 'If any of you want to be my follower, you must turn from your selfish ways, take up your cross, and follow me. If you try to hang on to your life, you will lose it. But if you give up your life for my sake, you will save it. And what do you benefit if you gain the whole world but lose your own soul?'" And Jesus speaks these words right after he rebuked Peter. Jesus tells the disciples about the fact that he will be crucified, and Peter is like, "Heaven forbid." And Jesus rebukes him, and he's like, no, you're looking at this thing from a human's perspective as opposed to a divine perspective, right? As opposed to God's perspective. And that's when he goes on and he tells Peter, if you really want to follow me, he tells Peter and the other disciples, and he says the same thing to you and I. If you really want to follow me, you must be willing to die to your selfish ways, right? Because the cross is a way of death, right? And Jesus is telling us, listen, if you really want to be my follower, you have to be willing to pick up your cross. You have to be willing to die to your desires, die to your selfish ways, die to your ways of doing things, die to your agenda. And I think it's so difficult for us to really grab a hold of this and walk in it, because everything around us is telling us it's all about me. It's all about preserving your life. It's all about accumulating as much as you can and feed your desire to just have pleasure, right? And we miss out on the fact that the way to Christ, it's death, right? A death to us. So I am challenged as I read this, because this is a daily thing. I have to make a daily choice, right? To say, you know what? Not Anika's will, but God's will. There's a death to Anika, and Lord, I want to live in you. I want your will to be fully accomplished in me. And I think it's not something that we should look at in a negative way. It's actually a positive thing, right? Because God says, listen, if you lose your life for my sake, then will you really live, right? That's when you really have life. So it's not about just us and doing what we want to do, because it goes on to say, what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? This is not something that we really talk about too often. We focus on the here and now, not thinking about eternity and thinking about the fact that one day we're going to have to stand before God, right? And give an answer, an account for all the things that we have done. So we're so focused on accumulating and not thinking about the fact that in the process we're losing our soul, and it's going to lead to just a very bad end for us, right? Heaven and hell is very real. So I just want to encourage you today to just really ask the Lord to show you the areas in your life where you're still just kicking and you're still living your way and not really picking up your cross, where you haven't really died to yourself, and allow him to give you the life that he wants. Read and meditate again on this passage of scripture and allow the Lord to minister to you. You be blessed.